good evening and welcome to this evening's maths revision session. So this evening we are going to be covering task 5 of the First Intuition's mock 1, and task 5 is looking at preparing budgets and using spreadsheets in order to complete the task. Now, both task 5 and task 6 will cover spreadsheets. Each of the tasks are worth around 16 marks, so you should be looking to complete each of the tasks within about 20 minutes. As I said, this evening we're just going to be looking at task 5. So in these tasks, you will be using spreadsheet skills in order to create flex budgets, also calculating and analysing variances, the production of operating statements, overhead absorption and allocation, short-term decision making, and also cash budgeting. Now here's just a list of all the different spreadsheet skills that you will be tested on, or you could be tested on within these couple of tasks. So just make sure that you have a look through and just check that you are comfortable with all of these. Okay, so we're just moving on to the task now. Okay, so you are an accountancy assistant at Ben's Homeware. The business sells items in 4 product ranges: bedroom, bathroom, kitchen and garden. The inventory count in each of the 3 warehouses has been completed. The data is recorded in worksheet 1, 2 and 3. And then we've got the business is launching new product ranges next year, so it wants to sell off all of its existing inventory. You are helping to prepare some budgeted figures. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be working through these tasks here, and we will be doing that on this spreadsheet. As I say, any questions at all, please, if you put them into the chat box. Okay, so it says to open a worksheet called BH Inventory, freeze rows 1 and 2, so the headings are always displayed as you scroll down. So can anyone remember, where do we need to go in order to do this? Where do we need to go in order to be able to freeze the first 2 rows? So we can see that row 1 and row 2 both have headings. So we just want to be able to freeze those so that as we scroll down the spreadsheet, those 2 rows are always going to be visible. So in order to do these, what we need to do is, that's it, Carol, excellent. Yeah, so we need to highlight the row or click on the row before, the row below which we want to freeze. So in this instance, we want to freeze rows 1 and 2, so therefore we're going to click into row 3. Yeah, so it's below the row in which you want to freeze. Good. Now, can you remember what the heading is that we need to go to? Sorry, my Zoom heading's getting in the way of my toolbar. View, yeah, excellent. Sorry, I'm just trying to get up to my view, but the Zoom thing's in the way. Let me see if it'll let me move it. There I can, let me see. Yeah, so if you go to the View tab, and then you'll see you've got Freeze Panes. So if you click on that, you want to select the first one, the Freeze Panes one. So if we click there, and then we can see, we can test it. Sorry, just let me move this toolbar again out of the way. So now you can see that as we scroll down through the spreadsheet, the first 2 rows, they stay frozen, they don't move. So just make sure once you have done it, that you test it and check that it has frozen the ones that you requested to freeze. Okay, so next it says in column B, use a formula to calculate the total inventory quantity for each item by linking the quantities in worksheets 1, 2, and 3 for each inventory item. So if we have a look at the spreadsheet again. So what we want is we want to enter the quantity into column B. But what it's requesting us to do is to use the quantity amounts that are on worksheet 1, worksheet 2, and worksheet 3, and we've got to link them. So in order to do that, if we just click on the cell where we want the figures to go into, if we select the equals, click on the worksheet and select the cell which has the figure that you want, put an addition sign, that's it. Brilliant, Janice. Yeah, good. And then you go to the next worksheet and do the same thing. So you're just clicking on the cell which you want to include. And then once you've got to the last one, if you just hit your enter key, oh dear. Sorry, bear with me a second. So I'll just re-enter it. I think it's because I'm talking at the same time. Okay. Now we've got that in, what we can do is we can just drag the formula down and then it will enter it into the whole of the column. Okay, so next it says in column D, use a formula to calculate the total cost for each row. Janice, sorry, going back. Yeah, so you want me to repeat again. Is that this one for column B? Sorry. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, so going back to part 2. So if I just go in and I'll delete this. So in order to link and add in each of the quantities from the 3 separate worksheets, we just, first of all, enter the equals key. Click on the worksheet that you're wanting. So we're wanting the quantity for pillows grey in row 3. Put an addition sign, go to the next worksheet, click again in the cell in which you want the figure to add up in. Again, put a plus sign and then go to the 3rd worksheet. Again, click in the cell and hit enter. Is that all right now, Janice? And remember, once you've done that, you can then just drag that formula down. Okay. Okay, so the next one. So in column D, use a formula to calculate the cost for each row. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So column D, it's wanting the cost for each row. So what would we put in here? What would we be wanting the sum of, though? Yeah, so we want to have the cost per unit times the quantity to get the total cost of the goods. Good. So you do this again, always put an equal sign in before you enter a formula. So equals, so we've got quantity of 34 times the cost per unit, and then just hit your enter key, and that's it. Brilliant. Yeah. And then again, you should be able to just drag that down and it'll input the same formula into all of the cells in that row. Good. Okay, so the next bit, a little bit more tricky, this one. So it says use data validation in cells E3 to E36. So the product ranges in J3 to J6 can be selected in a drop-down list. So going back to the spreadsheet, so you can see here that in cells E3 down to E36, we've got a range, and you can see that we've got bedroom, bathroom, kitchen in here. Now, what it's asking us to do is to use data validation so that these options that we have in J3 down to J6 are the only things that can be entered into these cells within column E. So what we want to do here is highlight first cells E3 to E36. And then if you go to your data tab, sorry, this toolbar's in front of where I want to go again. Sorry, data. So if you go to your data tab, go to the data validation. If you click on there, you can see here that it says under settings, it says allow, and you've got any value. What you want to do is you want to change that so it says list. Then the source, you'll select the range of cells that you want to be as an option within the drop down. So these are the only options in which anyone that uses the spreadsheet can actually enter into the cells within column E. So the source is going to be J3 down to J6. And then if you just hit the OK, you can see now within column E, you've got a drop down, and you can see that it's got the options that were in those J3 to J6. So anyone that comes to use this spreadsheet, they can only choose one of these options within this column. Okay. That's fine, Zara. Okay, so the next bit, it says in column F, calculate the target selling price as cost plus 30%. Use absolute cell referencing to cell K8 in your formula. Now, there is a couple of different ways in which you could calculate this. It doesn't really matter which way you choose, as long as you get the right figure. But what is important is that you make sure that you use absolute cell referencing, because that's what's been requested by the examiners. So that's what they're going to be looking for here. Sorry, I've just seen that Janice has put a question in the chat box. So data validation is where on the taskbar. So I'll show you where it is on mine, Janice. So can you see here, mine's just this symbol here. So it's under the data tab. And then it's here where it's got a green tick, and then it's got the red sign. Have you been able to find it? You've got it. Brilliant. Are you okay if I move on to the next little bit? Yeah, okay, brilliant. Yeah, so sorry, as I was saying, so in column F, it wants us to calculate the target selling price as cost plus 30%. And there are a number of different ways, as I say, in which you can calculate that. Yeah, but the important thing is this: it's the absolute cell referencing. So the examiner is going to be look at you using that within this task. And that's right, yeah. The absolute cell referencing is where you put the dollar signs. Good. Was it column F? I've forgotten already. Yeah, column F. So we're wanting to add 30% onto the cost price. So the cost price for Pillows Grey currently is £7.50, and we want to increase that by 30%. And we've got to use, remember, it wants absolute referencing for this cell here. So what we'll do is, again, whenever you use any kind of formula, make sure you put the equal sign in first. So the way that I would do this is I would do equals C3 times K8, and then you could do plus C3 again, hit your enter key, and then that would give you your figure. But of course, we need to make sure that that K8, we've absolute reference the cell. So we do that by putting the dollar signs on either side of the letter K. And then once again, we can just drag that formula down to the bottom, and it will calculate it automatically. And you can see, if you click on any of the cells, we can see that that K8 has remained the cell in which it's multiplied by. It's just because of the way that I've done it, Carol. It's because I did £7.50. If you have a look at the formula, sorry. Yeah, so here, so it's C3 times 30%. So that'll be 30% of the £7.50, but then you need to add that onto the £7.50 in order to give us the markup. Yeah, okay. Okay, so moving on to the second part of part B. It says selling prices need to be competitive, so the business will price match its main competitor. In column H, use an if statement to select the final selling price as the lower of the target selling price and the competitor's selling price. So in column H, we need to use an if statement. So let's have a look at the spreadsheet again. So in column H, we need to use an if statement. So you can see that the target selling price for the first goods was, so let me have a look at what that was. So it was for Pillows Grey. We can see that it's £9.75, but our competitor's price is £9.50. And the task is wanting us to do an if statement so that it will be the lower of the two options. So whereabouts will we go in order to find an if statement? The formulas, yeah. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. If you want to, you can just start typing, equals if, and it will come up. You could do it just on in the formula bar here. But personally, I always prefer to go into the actual formula and get the formulas box up, but it's up to you which way you do it. So if you go to your formulas tab, yeah, that's it, Zara, brilliant, yeah. Go to logical functions, and then we can find the if statement. So remember, it's wanting if the target selling price is higher than the competitor's selling price, then we're actually going to use that competitor's price. So the logical test is if, yeah, good, Anthony, yeah, so there's always three parts. There's first of all the logical test, then what happens if the test is true, and what happens if the test is false. So in this one, if you click on the cell which you want to start on in your formula, so I'm going to start on F3. So if F3 is greater than G3, if it's true, then I want it to use the competitor's value. If that logical test is false, then I want it to use our target selling price per unit, and then just hit OK. And then just check it. When you've done the formula, just have a look and just check, has it selected the right amount? And we can see here that yes, we're all right, it has selected the lowest. So click into the cell and you can just drag the formula down again throughout the column. And again, once you do anything like this, if you just have a quick little look through and just check and just have a look, has it picked out the right figure? And we can see as we look down that it has. Is everyone okay with the if statement? Yeah, yeah, okay, so we'll keep going. Okay, and then next it says in column I, use a formula to calculate the total budgeted sales figure for each item. So column I, it's wanting the total budgeted sales price. So how will we do that? What formula do you think we need? Let me go back to the question for you, Janice. So in column I, use a formula to calculate the total budgeted sales for each item. Sorry if I'm going a little bit quick. So it's wanting for every single one of these items, it's wanting the budgeted sales. So what do you think the formula would be here? Yes, excellent. So it's going to be the final price per unit times our quantity. Good. So again, always start it with an equal sign when you do any kind of formula. Click in the cell. So we want, good, excellent. Yeah. So it's cell H3 times our quantity in B3. And again, just hit enter. And then once you've done that, you can go ahead and you can drag that formula down again throughout the whole column. Okay, and then the last part of task B, saying in row 37, calculate the total cost and total sales figures in the blue shaded cells. So if we have a look again at the spreadsheet, if we go down to row 37, we can see that under the total cost column, and the total budgeted sales columns, we've got these blue cells, and we need to total up the columns in here. Now, what formula can we use to do this quickly? Can you remember the name of it? Yeah, the auto sum. Yeah. So if you just click, can you remember where to find the auto sum? Yeah, so if you go into the formulas tab again, you can find it there. You can go to auto sum and just double check that it includes all your cells, and then just hit enter. And then again, for column I, click in the cell, so in the blue cell, in I37, go to your formulas tab, where it says auto sum, select sum, and then just check that it includes again the whole column, and just hit enter. Okay, and then part C, it says you now need to prepare the budget in the worksheet BH budget. Link the figures for sales and cost of sales to the figures you calculated in part 5 or above. So those two figures that we just calculated for total cost and total sales in row 37, we now need to link them into the spreadsheet BH budget. So in here, so you can see that we've got a space for sales, and we've also got a space for cost of sales. So in order to link this, so first of all, we want the sales one. So select on the cell that you want. So in cell B5, if you put an equal sign in, and then click on the worksheet BH inventory, select the cell you want. So in this one, it's cell I37, and just hit enter. And then you can see now that that has linked that cell with the one on the previous worksheet. And we know that it's linked because if you have a look in the formula bar at the top, you can see that it is showing that BH inventory worksheet. And then we're going to do the same for the cost of sales. So again, click in the cell, put the equal sign, select the BH inventory worksheet, select the cell D37, and just hit your enter key. And you can see that that figure is now inputted into cell B6. And again, if you look in that formula bar, you can just see there that it has linked that other worksheet. So that's what the examiner is going to be looking at when he goes through your spreadsheet task. Okay, going back to the tasks. So it says to use a formula to calculate the budgeted gross profit. So how do we calculate gross profit? Good, Carol. Yes, good. Yeah, so gross profit is just the sales minus the cost of sales. So that is cell B5 minus B6. Good. So remember, always put that equal sign in first. You can just click on the cell, so B5 minus B6, and then just hit your enter key, and it will enter the amount in for you. Okay, and then going back to the tasks, so the last part of task C, it says to use the additional information in rows 14 to 17 to complete the budget. So you can see here that we've got this additional information. Sorry, my pen isn't writing. So first of all, we've got labour costs, and it's saying 150 hours at £9.50 an hour. So what formula would we enter into cell B8? Yeah. So again, just put in the equal sign. So put in 150 times your £9.50 and just hit the enter key, and that will give you your figure. And then again, we've got storage costs. The storage cost per item, it's telling us it's 1,273 items. It's 65 pence per item. So this one again, so just be careful with that one, Anthony, because it's saying it's 1,273 items at a cost of 65 pence per item. So therefore, we would actually times it. So it would be equals 1,273 items times 0.65. Okay. Now, what will we enter for other overheads then? Yeah. So it's just £1,000. Good. And then we've got the budgeted operating profit. So how would we calculate that? Good. Yeah, so it's the gross profit minus all the costs. Excellent. Yeah. So again, enter your equal sign, select the gross profit cell, and then if you just did, that will leave you with your budgeted operating profit. Yeah, brilliant. So is everyone all right with that? Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this evening's session. This session was recorded, so you will receive the recording within around 24 hours. If you do have any questions about any of the sessions, please feel free to email us at the email address that's displayed on your screen. And also, if you do have any further questions that you want to ask me, please feel free to hang on at the end of the session and ask me anything as well. So thank you very much. Thank you for participating this evening, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you.